Yo, what's up YouTube? So on this video, I want to share with you my order of operations. There is a financial order of operations that's going around. It's pretty popular, especially amongst the FIRE movement and just really the people who follow a lot of these money gurus out there. I have a couple of different steps that I think are critical, and I think that frankly, these guys who have the financial order of operations, they're missing a very important and crucial step. And as from my perspective anyways, and I'm going to share with you my personal order of operations in this video. So let's jump right into it. My name is Cluff. I'm a financial coach. I love helping people manage, protect, and grow their money. And I've been working with people for many, many years to help them turn their income into wealth and create what I call is a massive bank account. So they get their MBA. Anyways, I have a school group that I'm forming, that I'm growing, that I'm trying to develop. It's free right now. So if you want to jump over there to school, SKOOL, just search up massive bank account and MBA. I thought that would be fun, play on words, to send people to school to get their MBA, their massive bank account. Okay, so my order of operations in the first few steps, it pretty much goes exactly how you would consider it, the same way as everything else. The first step, depending on which one you're looking at, the first step is making sure that your cash flow is good, making sure that your income is greater than your expenses. First step out of the gate. The next step is basically one order of operations that I looked at, called it something different than what the other one did, but it's basically the same concept. The second step in the order of operations is to what one of them called build a savings account to take care of your deductibles, and another one called it an emergency fund. I totally agree with that. Right when you one of the first things you want to do when you get your cash flow positive, when you're making more money, when you get your discipline with your spending, the next thing you want to do is you want to build a safety net, and that safety net is an emergency fund. I start with at least 1 month of the basics, but I thought it was a really good idea. What this other order of operations said was to make sure your deductibles are taken care of. Those deductibles are for your car, deductibles for your health insurance, and deductibles for your homeowner's insurance or renter's insurance should you have it. One of the reasons why you want to make sure that you have that deductibles and that emergency fund done is because if anything comes up, you don't want to go right back and swipe the card. You want to be able to have savings, you want to have money that you can set aside to take care of it. The next step in the order of operations was to contribute to your employer 401k. Now, if you're working and you have a 401k and your company offers one, I highly recommend that you contribute up to the match. Don't do more than the match, and we'll talk about that later, but definitely want to take advantage of the match, especially if it's a dollar for dollar match. Some companies do a 50 cents on the dollar match. That's still okay. It's better than nothing. But a dollar for dollar match, for sure, put into the match for if it's dollar for dollar. Now, the next one that they talk about is to pay off your high interest debt. Now, I highly agree to that. I agree that you want to set up a plan for debt freedom. So you may not pay it all the way off, but I want you to be at least in a plan. My order of operations is be in a debt freedom, like be invariably on a path towards getting out of debt, consumer debt, credit cards, any payday loans, any loans to friends, that any money that you owe to your dad, mom, brother, sister, guy down the road, loan shark, etc. So definitely you want to have a absolute goal to pay those off as soon as possible. Now, a lot of people will say, well, how can we invest or save if we still are in debt? That's the thing, is you got to balance. My opinion is that you got to balance getting out of debt with building your emergency fund even more. So the second step was get your deductibles, get at least 1 month's worth of emergencies set aside. The next step is, while you're set up a strategy to get out of debt, consumer debt, and at the same time fund, if you can, the rest of your emergency fund. The last thing you want to have happen is, because invariably this has happened to too many of my clients. I'll be going through the process with them and we'll be hyper-focused on getting out of consumer debt, and then something happens and they don't have any money to pay for it. Emergency, tire blows out, car, something happens to the kids, just a bunch of different things happen and that aren't deductible related necessarily. And so they just swipe the card again and they're back into debt. So it didn't really serve them. So my goal is to simultaneously get out of debt while you're building what I call sinking funds. An emergency fund is one of many sinking funds that you should begin to build, because I want you to transition from buying things on credit to buying things from savings. So my order of operations is and this is possible, by the way. I'm doing it with a client right now, and their budget is pretty tight, and they're doing it. They're actually doing it really well. They're simultaneously building their emergency funds slash sinking funds while they're getting out of debt, and they've been able to chunk away thousands of dollars just in the last couple of months. It's been amazing. The next thing on the order of operations they say that you're supposed to do in a lot of these other places is to now go back and max out your 401k or whatever employer program you have. And this is where I will deviate dramatically, because I believe in risk management. And the very first step in one of these order of operations was to get your deductibles. Well, that assumes that you have insurance. And so one of the things that I do is that after you're on track to paying off debt and you're building your savings accounts, the next thing you want to do is make sure that you have the other insurances that you need. One of those insurances that you need is life insurance. Nowhere in any of the order of operations did I ever see anybody say, buy life insurance. That is critical for me to share with you, that you need to buy life insurance. There's too many people that don't make it, and they leave behind family that are absolutely devastated. I used to live in a city in California, and it was the #1 city for car washes to raise money for funeral expenses. I don't think that's what you want for your family, to have to go beg and plead and be at the mercy of the community for just a few dollars a month. You could totally and completely take care of your family. Frankly, the other part of life insurance is that if you structure it properly and you use the strategies of the wealthy, you can actually begin to create generational wealth. I have a passion right now because it seems to me that people in America have lived here for generation after generation after generation. And it's like, why aren't you wealthy yet? And one of the reasons why, I think, is because they just didn't take advantage of all the strategies. Let's say that you go get a couple $1 million policy on your life, and even if you live a long life, you pass away, and your family now gets a chunk of money. Well, if you train them and teach them and show them the right ways to manage that money, you're the one in your tree, in your family tree. You're the one. You become the one that financially changes your whole financial tree, because you were the one that was willing to do what it took to make sure that when you passed away, your whole family had an influx of money. Now, if your kids and grandkids are idiots, don't do that, or find some way to do it through a trust and through other things. There's still ways to do it. But if you train and teach your children correctly and your grandchildren correctly, they'll receive that money and they'll blossom that into even more money. So the next thing that they say after that is to put money into what is called a Roth IRA and really build that. Now, just depends on your income. Quite frankly, there are life insurance products that you can get the same tax advantages of Roth IRAs and several more. Now, I'm going to be a little controversial right here with this next part. I highly recommend life insurance retirement plans or permanent life insurance, because there's some fantastic strategies. If it's structured correctly, there's absolutely amazing strategies that you can implement for you and your family if you do it properly. Again, I'm going to get a lot of flack probably from some of you. Put in the comments below, how do you feel about permanent life insurance? How do you feel about index universal life or whole life? How do you feel about infinite banking? How do you feel about some of these strategies and concepts that are out there? Put in the comments below. If you're interested in learning more, make sure that you send me an email at paris@pariscluff.com, and I'll make sure that you get on my calendar, and we'll go through if it's a right and if it's a good fit for you, because I'm one who knows how to structure those properly. Do I believe that's the only place that puts your money? Nope. I do believe 401ks are good up to the match. I do believe that making sure that you're out of debt, making sure that you have proper protection in case you live too long or die too soon. Those are the two things that are really important to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do. After that, if you still have extra money, let's go build a brokerage account. Let's go get into the stock market, or maybe buy some real estate, or maybe start a business, a side hustle to create more income for yourself. Once you've got those foundational steps in place, you can either hyper accumulate money. You could either go open a brokerage firm and really pour a bunch of money in there so you can retire early or retire with a little bit extra, or build a business, build a portfolio, real estate portfolio, things of that nature. I highly do recommend, though, that you look at that first step we talked about was building for your deductibles. There's something called an HSA, or health savings account, that it can be extremely valuable in your financial plan. So make sure that you take a look at those as well. So first step, make sure that you're budgeting, make sure your conscientious spending plan is in place, make sure you're making more money than you're spending. The second thing is start to build that 1 month of savings so that you have a cushion in case emergencies happen. The next thing you want to do is simultaneously focus on getting out of consumer debt while building sinking funds. The next thing you want to do is, pardon me, I forgot to mention, you want to make sure you invest in your 401k to the match. So after you got your sinking funds and your debt program done, make sure that you're, I recommend you go get a life insurance policy that's a permanent, like an IUL for infinite banking purposes and strategies. That's what I recommend. And then beyond that, you want to make sure that you're getting good, if you still have more money, go start a new business, go start in the stock market, go start a real estate portfolio. And then last but not least, make sure that you have a legacy plan. There's nobody getting off of this earth without some kind of death involved. So make sure that when you go, there's going to be something that's going to be amazing for those kids and grandkids when you leave. That's my order of operations. I hope that this makes sense. I hope that you understand why I do it this way, because I've just worked with hundreds of clients over the years, and these are some critical things that I've seen as I've done this. And so I hope that you're taking time every day to make sure you're turning your income into wealth and you're building your massive bank account. We'll see you on the next one.